All right. Yate, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. Today is a special day to be alive. We are breathing the air of life. Indigenous Ways acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Turtle Island and pays its respects to their elders, past and present. We'd like to take this time to acknowledge traditional owners and ancestors of these lands we reside on in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Pueblo people, 19 pueblos all around us. Wherever you are beaming in from, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and ancestors of the lands you hail from so we could all be here today. Without our ancestors, we would be nothing. Indigenous Ways is dedicated to bridging cultural exchange with people globally. April marks one full year. We've been hosting these virtual concerts. We've been able to support over 90 presenters. All events have ASL interpreters. Thank you all for your support and keeping this journey going. This platform is moving and we're not going to stop anytime soon. So thank you. I'd like to intro Pete Sands, who was born and raised on the Navajo Indian Reservation in southern Utah. Even from an early age, he had a calling with music. He began performing solo acoustic sets in coffee houses, corner stores, bars, doing open mics. Quote, getting broke in them old dirt floor honky tonks. In 2020, he was named Time Magazine Guardian of the Year because of his service. Utah Navajo COVID Relief Run. Please welcome Pete Sands.
Yeah, Pete, right on.
All right, Pete. Do we have a sound check? Can you tell us a little bit about your family history and where your early beginnings were from?
Oh, Pete, you need to
Pete, we
unmute.
can't hear you.
You just need to unmute. Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right. So my name is Pete Sands. I'm from the Navajo Nation. My family is originally from a place called Steamboat, Arizona. It's near the Hopi Reservation. That's where my family is based at, but my mother migrated to Utah when she was in her late teens. And that's how we ended up in Utah. My family, and I grew up very traditionally, like a lot of the old ceremonies, like Navajo ceremonies, like Blessing Way, night chants, and stuff like that. Fire dances, Yebiche dances. Those are the type of things that I grew up around. But I also grew up around I grew up a very lonely kid, living out with my grandmother. It was just her and I. But she had records, and that's where my love for music came. And she taught me how to how to place the record on and put the needle on. And my grandmother had worked in LA when she was a teenager, and when she was there, she picked up all these vinyls. So when I got to her house later on, a couple years down the road, I remember picking up the record for Johnny Cash's Live at San Quentin, and that's just what did it for me. I didn't know what he was doing, but I knew I wanted to do that. And that's where the love for music came, because my grandmother had records from Johnny Cash, Waylon, Etta James, Sinatra, blues, everything, funk, soul. I don't know if she knew what she had, but she had it. And I would listen to it over and over and over again. That's where my education of music began. And later on, when I moved back with my mother in Utah, I graduated from Whitehorse High School, Montezuma Creek, and I went to college at College of Eastern Utah in Price and got my associates there. And I went to Weber State University, where I got my bachelor's degree. But it was at Weber State that I found that I have this passion for playing live, and I had this ability to write songs. So that's where songwriting started for me. I was supposed to become a lawyer, but just something inside of me spoke to me and told me it wasn't where I'm supposed to be. It's not where I was supposed to go. So my my partner at the time. She was like, "What are you gonna do? Your whole plan is to be a lawyer. You got in law school, but you withdrew." And I said, "You remember that guitar in the corner in our bedroom? That's what I want to do. I want to play music." She said I was crazy, and she said, "You're never gonna. We know what the chances are of a Native American country singer being anything." And I said, "Yeah, but man, he just something inside of me that kept speaking and getting louder and louder and couldn't hush it up no more." So that's how I got into music. Is I just started playing anywhere, just like I said in the bio, just anywhere I could go, any place that would have me. And spent 3-4 years on the road, man, traveling the West Coast. And I was fortunate enough to get noticed by some people in the film industry because I was also a filmmaker and a songwriter, and I was fortunate enough to get onto the first 2 seasons of Yellowstone, and that's where they featured some of my music on the TV show, and it really bumped me up to another level, which I'm super grateful for. But everything started. People ask me, as far as I've gone in life, how did you start? And I said, start from that guitar right there, just me and this thing, playing anywhere for anybody. That's where it started, man. Just you gotta follow your heart, and you can't be afraid to fail. But yeah, I think that answers your question. I don't know. I think so.
Absolutely, Pete. That sounds like super humble beginnings. And the thing about those super humble beginnings, in my opinion, makes for I don't know about you, but I really love Van Morrison, and his music speaks to my soul, just goes into my heart. And um, that's the kind of music I like that speaks to my soul. So, um, can everybody hear us out there? Can you send us a quick chat? You can hear us because we got one participant that says our volume's very low. Pete, can you bring your microphone closer, or is it somebody
Me?
saying they can't hear you?
You can't hear me?
I can hear you pretty good, so that's good. So wonderful. So when you took your turn to get into music, was that a just like an overnight transition? Did you just like drop everything, or did you have to come up with a plan and take some classes to learn how to market your music or learn technology, or did you just kind of get into it? Hit the
I
road
did.
with
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Um. So in the beginning, when I first started into music, I was a lead singer for a heavy metal band, and I was in this literature class in college, and it was a women's literature class, and I was the only guy in the class. And afterwards, after I wrote some of my poetry and the assignments I did after the class was over, there's an elderly Chilean woman I was going to school with, and she grabbed me outside. She's like, "There's something about you, there's something about you. There's something about your voice. When you talk, people listen, and you have something profound to say. I think you just got to find your voice." And so at the time I was in a metal band, and it didn't last very long, but I got back down just me and the guitar, and I told my brother what I wanted to do. He's like, "All right, we'll support you." So I went out. There was a lot of people I looked up to at the time, like Whitey Morgan, Shooter Jennings. These are all outlaw country singers. Sturgill Simpson, Jamie Wyatt, Yellow Wolf. A lot of people I looked up to at the time. They were beginning as well, and I was fortunate enough to become friends with these people. And they kind of gave me the advice of like, this is what you should do. And a really good friend of mine, he's just like, There's nobody else like you. You have the voice, you have this talent. That's why telling you how to go about it is not going to work, because there's nobody like you that's ever been on this path. And so they're like, you got to figure it out your own way. So I went to, man, when I was discovering my sound, I went to any concerts I could. My brother and I, we used to go to concerts any day of the week, heavy metal, blues, country, whatever we could get to. Be a small bar, a nobody band. Sometimes we go to like arenas and just watch, and I would just watch. And that's how I learned best, is by watching. I would watch how they move. I would watch how they would sing a song, how they would capture a crowd. And, each original artist, because there's a difference between an entertainer and an artist. There's a huge difference. And that's what I learned when I was going through this thing. Because, as an artist, you got to entertain people. And then, an artist can sit inside a room and write songs after song, and never play in front of anybody. But an entertainer will go out and show what they've created. And, both are very essential to the art community. And I learned to respect and really honor the process of being an artist that way. Because there's people out there that can sing beautifully, but they can't write a song. There's people out there that can write songs that can't sing. So both are needed. And, that respect there is grand, because, I grew up a fan of the old country, like the old Waylon, Johnny, Loretta Lynn, that type of stuff. And one thing that really grabbed my attention was the song Ghost Riders in the Sky. If you remember that song, Johnny Cash song. And he tells a story. It's a story. The songs were stories. And that's what captivated me. And that's what I felt was missing from, music nowadays. Is there was really, there's the storytelling element of it is gone. And now, so then I found this subgenre of these guys and girls that came through that were the subgenre of country. They call it Americana or outlaw country, whatever they call it. It wasn't popular country, but it was real country. It was real music. It was real lyrics. People who lived their lyrics. People who know what it felt like. These young kids I work with now. They ask me, have you ever had your broken heart? And I said, yeah. And I was like, what's the worst injury you ever had? And they said, probably breaking my ankle. And they're like, which is worse, a broken heart or a broken ankle? So give me a broken ankle any day. But that's where it came from. And it's definitely a world where if you go in with the mindset you're going to become super famous and rich, you're going to fail. Because it takes a lot of time to get to that level of even get some recognition. But if you go in there wanting to share a part of yourself with people, then you will make a statement and make an impact. And you got to be real, because if the fans will know if you're being fake with them, if it's not really you, and they'll know that you're just taking them for a ride and you're not really giving them a piece of who you are. So I think in that aspect, people they're just saying, don't trust musicians because they don't trust musicians or artists because they save their real emotions for their art. So, there's that old, yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. I've got so many questions for you, Pete, but before I ask you more questions, I want to ask you to sing us a song. What is your most, in your heart, satisfying creation you've done thus far with all your songwriting?
That's a tough one, man, because I forgot my capo. You guys have a capo here? Yeah. Yeah, so I did some time in jail a couple years ago, about 11, 12 years ago.
Right.
And I wrote a song in there while I was doing time, because one of the corrections, one of the officers, thank you. One of the officers, they would bring their guitar in, which is probably something he's not supposed to do, but he brought his guitar in. and he would play. I had the bunk right near the door, and he would play he would try to play the guitar. He was trying to learn songs, and he just wasn't getting it. And he was playing this one song. He was playing this song. He was playing "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, and he kept getting upset because he couldn't get it. And so I told him, "It's your timing, man." I said, "You're going from the C to you go from the A minor to the C. You gotta learn that transition." And he's like, "What the hell do you know about guitar playing?" And I said, "Oh, I play guitar a little bit." And so we became friends, as friendly as a inmate and officer can be. And he would let me play the guitar.
Awesome.
He would just let me sit by his office and let me play the guitar.
All
And so,
right.
yeah.
Right on.
So I wrote the song. It's called "Mistaken Love." I wrote it when I was doing time in jail. When I came home late last night, I found her on the porch with all her bags packed. Said, "Honey, where you going? I hope you're not leaving." "I'm heading down to Phoenix," she said, "to start a new life." Then a man in a new Ford truck pulled up to our home. She threw her bags in the back, and she said to me, "You're not the outlaw that you used to be. I never thought I'd hate someone as much as I loved you. There's nothing left to say to you, my mistaken love." As I stood there watching the tail lights fade, I began to think of what she used to say. "I'll always love you no matter what you say or do. Just know that I'll always forgive you." And now I'm driving on this road alone, heading back to she left me all alone. I'm still the outlaw that I used to be. I never thought I'd love someone as much as she hates me. There's nothing left to say to you, my mistaken love. Now I'm driving across town to a woman I've known for quite some time. I hope she helps me find love again, and just like she helped me the nights before. I'm still the outlaw that I used to be. I never thought I'd love someone as much as she hates me. There's nothing left to say to you, my mistaken love.
Woo! That sounds a little bit like a Waylon Jennings influence to me. So I'm going to ask you, do you know any Waylon Jennings songs?
Yeah, I do. I know about 3 of them, I think.
Can you sing one for my mom? Because she's online from Chinle.
It's not gonna sound right, but I don't have my band. It's one of those
Oh,
full band songs.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because my mom loves Waylon Jennings. We grew up with Waylon.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
mom. Next time.
Sorry, next time I will.
Yeah. So, what about an old country song you can stand alone with, or do you have your set all set up for another song?
There's a song that a good friend of mine, his name is Whitey Morgan. He was actually the first guy that really gave me a break. Before I got in Yellowstone, he was a guy that I looked up to. I love his music, I love his sound, his tone, his style, everything. And I got to meet him one time when he came to do a show in Salt Lake, and I was so baffled. And he's like, man, he's like, hey Pete, I like you, man. Why don't you come open for us next time? And I was like, all right. And I was just like, all right, he's just talking. And sure enough, a couple months later went by, and he came through town, and he called me and says, hey, we're coming through town. Why don't you open for us? And I was like, okay, but it's just me. I don't. This is before I had a band. He's like, that's all right, brother. Let's come on down and play. So I went down there, and you know, at this venue in Salt Lake, it's called the State Room. There's a from the backstage, the green room. There's I didn't know there was a stairway you could go to the rafters to not. You don't have to go through the crowd. You could just go to the back where the control room is. And during my set, that's what Whitey and the boys did is they watched me play. And when I was done with my set, I was walking back, went through the curtains, and there Whitey Morgan was standing, gave me a big old hug, and he was like, "Man, that was beautiful, brother." And we went back to the green room, and he says, "Man, you got something." He says, "But you know one thing you're missing from your set." I said, "What?" He's like, "You're missing some Bruce Springsteen, brother." So he taught me how to play "I'm on Fire." Back in the green room. I played a song so much that when I play shows live, if I don't play it, people will be upset with me. So, like, "I'm
All
on
right.
Fire" is a song that everybody knows, and it's a short, sweet song. But I can play it if you guys want me to.
All
All
right.
right,
Let's check it out.
all right. Whoops. Well, hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Then he go away, leave you all alone. Got a bad desire. Oh, oh, I'm on fire. Tell me now, baby, is he good to you? Does he do things that I do? Oh no, I can take you high. Oh, oh, I'm on fire. Sometimes it's like someone took a knife, baby, edge and cut a cinch valley through the middle of my skull. Now you wake up and the sheets soaking wet and the freight train running through the middle of my head, and you can cool my desire. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, girl, I'm on fire.
Awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. You've got a very connected vocal range as him, the original singer of the song. So I just love your voice. It's so uh, soft and powerful and deep and resonant. So thank you very much for that. So I understand that you have been involved with the Utah Navajo COVID relief program, and were honored in the 2020 Time Magazine Guardian of the Year. Work with your work helping the Navajo Nation during the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, back in last year, back in February, I was contracted with the Utah Navajo Health System to do some film work for them, and it was actually October of 2019 where I started the film project for them. And during my time there, I started a firewood program because a lot of community members needed firewood, coming to me asking if I could help, and I hadn't been in the community in years, so I did the project and I was done, and I had plans to travel the world. I had booked all my tickets, and February came along, and the travel ban came because of COVID, and I couldn't go anywhere. So people, the head honchos at the clinic called me back, the health system, like, hey, looks like you're not going anywhere. Why don't you come on and let's have a talk, So I left the clinic on a Thursday, and I got hired on Monday. So I got hired on there officially as a public relations specialist, and they're like, just work here while the pandemic's going and help us. We're trying to go in a new direction, try to become more community oriented. And so that I got hired officially onto the clinic on Monday. I had left that previous Thursday, and we had a meeting Thursday of that same week I get hired. That's when they had that two possible individuals who were possibly positive on the reservation, and they were in Monument Valley. And we were in that meeting, and I told my boss, I said, hey, we should start some sort of program to help, because we all agreed, looking at the numbers and the statistics of the COVID crisis and where it was headed, we all agreed it wasn't a question of a matter of if it's going to get there. It was, when is it going to get there? And we all knew, because of the, Indian reservations don't have the best resources, and already has such, high health related illnesses like diabetes, heart disease, a lot of respiratory issues, and to have COVID sprinkle on top of that, it's just going to devastate everything. And so that's why I started the program. And never in my life did I thought it was going to grow to what it became to be. I didn't know. I started just like an initial reaction to help people. And we were mainly focused on the Utah portion of the Navajo Nation, but soon we had built up such strong connection with other organizations, and like the LDS Church and the governor's office, the Utah governor's office, just many people, food programs, that we started going beyond our Utah borders and started helping people in Arizona and New Mexico. And I think, times like that where people are suffering, that we have to come together, set aside differences that people might have with each other, and that was always my goal. No matter what myself and another individual might feel towards one another, our end goal was always to help people. I'm not a very prideful person. I'm quick to apologize, or quick to acknowledge if I was wrong, and that's one thing I try to teach these young people is, like, in Navajo, there's no word for I'm sorry. There's no word for I'm sorry. And one thing that I keep telling the youth that we work with is, like, it's okay to apologize for things. It doesn't make you seem weak. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be human with each other. It's on that basis, we're on that human connection where, we all been hurt. We've all been happy. We've all been embarrassed about something, if you try to cover that up, it's just a bunch of people trying to mask their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
their emotions, and it doesn't work like that. Nothing gets done that way. And so that's there's a lot of things that the COVID program brought. It brought people together, it brought people out of hiding. It inspired a lot of people because the Utah Navajo COVID was the first COVID program
Mm.
was ever. It was the first one started. Then after that, so many people, so many other programs started popping up, and inspiration is beautiful. If you start something with a pure intent, it's beautiful when other people pick up on that and they also want to help as well. Do something positive for their community and for their neighbor, because then it's what it was finally in an era of turmoil, in the Trump era where everything was upside down and everybody was just the world itself was on the brink of self-destruction. But the indigenous people, they came together. They
That's
came and
right.
they helped each other,
That's right.
and that was beautiful to see, man. I mean, if I had that ability to cry, I probably would have cried. But it was beautiful to see, and it's I don't. It led me to Time magazine, which was not my intent. Was not
Yeah.
I didn't start this thing to be some sort of focal point, a focus of any media. It just came with it. We never reached out to magazines or newspapers. They just came and wanted to know where it all started and how we're going to keep it going, or how we do keep it going. And it's just helping each other. There is no, they want a complex answer. People want a complex answer, but it's really just simple. Is having that will to want to help somebody and seeking it through and finding others and surrounding yourself with people that have that same mission that will support you, and sharing your spotlight. Thanking those who help you, thanking those in your group, giving shout outs to your crew, giving shout outs to everybody who helped you. Nobody does it alone. And oh yeah, I think that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. And Najoni at Bayan Kitnan Andnish, Dalban Sinkis, you talk beautiful. Your work, your walk, who you are as a Dene man. I have a lot of respect for you, and I'm really glad that you're gracing us with your essence today because this show is very unique in that it's not a straight concert. We want to know who you are and what is your motivation, what's important to you, and early beginnings, and why you've decided to turn this walk into an actual road to sustain yourself with. I take my hat off to you. It's not easy. I know. I've done it, and it's not an easy road to put yourself out there in this way to speak for all people. But you're definitely a beautiful representation of our Navajo Nation, and we need more Danette just like you. So thank you very much. Before I ask for another song, I want to ask you about your film projects. How did you get into that photography, filmmaking? I read something about you doing, putting some focus on the missing and murdered Indigenous women, along with the horses sanctuary. Do you have some time to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir, I do. Well, I started photography early on in my life. Just with anything I do in life. I have this thing where um, one of the board members that I work with at the clinic, he says, the dangerous thing about you, Pete, is when you set your mind on it, once you like mentally put this mission in front of you, you won't stop until it becomes true, or you see it through, make it happen. And there's a lot of truth there because once I want to learn something, I learn it. There's no other, if I don't seek it through, I'll feel like I didn't give it my all, and that really bugs the hell out of me if I don't give it my best. So photography was something I got into back when digital cameras first came out, and with just like with anything, it takes time to find your style. My photography work now is I'm very proud of it because I know my angle. I know what I'm trying to say with this subject or whatever it is I'm taking a picture of. And so I started a missing murdered campaign, missing murdered Indigenous women campaign with my photography. And I started with the Martin sisters. And and people always ask me like, why don't you ever do like the red hand on the face, on the around the mouth? And I said, it's a lot of people doing. There are a lot of people doing that already, and the message already out there. And instead of doing the red face paint, I actually put in the pictures a real hand. So there's a person's hand over the mouth of the girl or the boy. And that really moved people because it wasn't a non-native's hand. It was a native person's hand over a native woman or boy.
Oh, wow.
And because, in my research, when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous people, is that men go missing 3 times higher than women. But the focus is not put on that. And I think it's important to focus on both.
Yes.
And I was at how I came to that is I was doing a presentation in Tuba City, Arizona, and I showed parts of the film I'm working on, and then a lady caught up with me after the conference. She says, "Why don't you talk about men?" And I was like, "Oh, I never." I said, "It's about women." He says, and she's like, men go missing at a higher percentage than women.
That's right.
And she's like, "Yeah, my son, he's been missing for a year now." And I was like, "Oh, that's too bad." And she said, "Yeah, so I just pray that he's okay." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then she's like, "Yeah, and my oldest son, he's been missing for 5 years." So I'm like, "So you have 2 sons missing?" He says, "Yeah, and my husband was murdered." So, that type of reality, that type of a slap in the face, I guess, is really eye-opening for me because at that point, I realized that I was leaving something out of a big cause, and that's how it started with the men and a lot of the talks I do. I don't do a lot of panels or anything because the things I say kind of upset people because they would ask me like, "Why did you use a native's hand in these pictures?" And I said, the truth of abuse is it's always someone within your family that abuses you. It's your dad, your stepdad, your uncle, your grandpa, cousin, family friend, somebody close to you. It's not some stranger most of the time. The majority of the time, it's somebody you know. And when it comes to missing murdered women, most of the time, it's we got to stop this tale that it's some other person that's taking our women. It's not. It's us. It's people like us, Native people, and people who have indigenous ancestry. We all, with this human trafficking and missing murdered women, it's really nothing. It's really something it's been around for a long time. Slavery is an old custom, and I think we have to also admit that to ourselves because tribes used to steal women and kids from each other. They used to do that. And so when I talk like this, it really upsets people because they think of this stranger just coming and killing and kidnapping our indigenous women, but it's not. It's our own people that's doing it to each other.
That's beautiful for you saying that in my world because, first of all, when you say people say, "Why do I do this?" Because you can, because you know, and because you are the voice from the lands of the Four Corners area. So to me, that gives you a right to speak because you're not speaking from an outsider point of view, you know. So I have a lot of respect for that. So thank you for speaking from your perspective and acknowledging our brothers. And everybody that's hurt will hurt. Hurt people hurt people. And there's a lot of hurt people out there right now. That's why your music offers us the other side of that hurt is love. Love in the power of creation, the power of words, the power of the beat, the power of the strum, the power of that piece of wood comes from a tree. You can sit by the side of the road hitchhiking and write a song. It'd be the best song that anybody's ever written. So I'd love to ask you to sing us I think we have time for one more song.
Yes.
Awesome.
I can talk about the Wild Horse Sanctuary after the song.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you.
So this song I'm gonna sing is called "When the Darkness Gets Too Real." Had a young lady who I was working with. She attempted suicide a couple times, and she came to one of my shows, and she was like, "Pete, man, your songs touch my emotions so much, but you should write a song about depression." And depression is something that's not spoken about, you know. In Navajo, we say, don't talk about it, it's gonna happen. You know, it's something that we have to talk about. Depression is real. And this song is called "When the Darkness Gets Too Real." I don't know if it's real, I'm hoping it's a dream. I'm lying on the floor, I can't take it anymore. I can still hear you say, "Won't you get out and go away?" I'm walking in the rain, washing off all the pain. I tried to win it all, but I couldn't find a vein. I don't know how else to let go of this hell. My daddy done told me that love is never enough. It takes somebody hurting to see if it's all worth it. If you can't see the light shining anymore, then talk to the Lord when the darkness gets too real. Days it's just harder to put on that smile. I can hear them whisper that I'm not worthwhile. I try to hide what no one will see, the pain in my eyes that won't let me be. I just want to wake up and get up out of bed and look in the mirror without any fear. My daddy done told me that love is never enough. It takes somebody hurting to see if it's all worth it. If you can't see the light shining anymore, then talk to the Lord when the darkness gets too real. I don't know where I'm taking on this pain. I fell way down. Lord, I hope it changes. I'm sitting here alone and I'm drinking this whiskey. I'm smoking in the pain. I can still hear those words. My daddy done told me that love is never enough. It takes somebody hurting to see if it's all worth it. If you can't see the light shining anymore, then talk to the Lord when the darkness gets too real.
Wow. Woo. That was powerful. I think we can all relate to that, Pete. I think we can all relate to that. So, in our program this year, since we are in the other end of COVID, um, first of all, let's talk about your horse sanctuary. We've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I started Wild Horse Sanctuary. I'm starting one down where I live. There's a lot of wild horses, a lot of Mustangs, and they cause a lot of accidents because it's open country. It's
Right.
open range out there, and people round them up, and sometimes they take them out to slaughter. So my whole thing was a lot of people in my community don't know how to ride horses. We lost this connection to horses,
Mm.
to livestock, and to land. So I had this, when I went out to New York, they took me out to this equestrian rehabs place where they had rehab and therapy. And a lot of these people who are dealing with PTSD and trauma, they work with horses. And that helped them more than, going to therapy and that type of stuff. So I came up with this idea and I presented it to the board and the people I work for. And they're like, this is beautiful. Go do it. It's like, oh man, I gotta do this now. But that reconnection to the horses is something that a lot of the old folks in my community have been asking someone to do something about, and I had a couple come to my office and ask me to do it. And I was telling them, I was like, my plate's already full at the moment. I can't do anything more. But when I went out there to check out the wild horses and just see them roam and seeing them, they're starving and they're malnourished, and they just seem lost, just like our people.
Mm.
So I figure it's like, somebody's got to help them. If not me, then who? So that's how I started the idea, and we're going towards it. Hopefully by July or some point in that time, we'll be ready to rock and roll with the little ranch we're going to put together, and it'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing
Yes.
for everybody.
I would like to be involved. Let me know how I can help you all out. I would like to be involved. Thank you very much. So, lastly, before we say goodbye to everybody and thank everybody, what's your definition of thriving in purpose in these times? Sounds like you just answered it, but do you have anything else?
My definition of thriving on purpose, I guess it would be, we all look for meaning to why we're here.
That's right.
We all look for that meaning, and we question existence, whether if it's our own or as a whole. But I think the question of why we're here takes us away from enjoying our time here. Instead of enjoying the day, you're worrying about something you have no control over. So in this lifetime, life is short, man. It's too short to be angry all the time. And being able to grow and thrive, as you say, in all the turmoil that's around us, and keep that optimism.
That's right.
Keep shining that light in the darkness.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Pete. It's been a pleasure hosting you in our humble nonprofit, grassroots, indigenous ways. Thank you for gracing us with your essence, your presence, your talent, your creative process, and your heart. Safe travels to you, and may Creator be with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Give
a
it
good
up for
day.
Pete, everybody. And speaking of thriving in purpose, we'd like to thank our
Proudly.
beautiful ASL interpreters, Martin and Cress. And just to let you know that on Wednesday we have.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in. Just before we head out, thanks all those that have joined us live, whether you're in the Zoom platform or out on social media. Thank you, those that are watching this tomorrow. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Pete, for blessing us in the essence of your heart. What's happening in the Wisdom Circle Wednesday, the 21st? That happens to be my birthday. We've got the beautiful Angelina O'Willow who will be blessing us. She's just written a book. She's going to be sharing that. Angelina is deaf. She was born and bred in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So will be joining us here from Seattle, where her and her wife are based, and telling us more about this amazing artwork book that she's been doing. So be sure to join us then. Also, you can find more if you want to watch that video of Pete that you've just seen, or share it within the networks. That's going to be available in the next 48 hours on our website, IndigenousWays.org. There you'll find over 90 presenters in the archives there. We've been very blessed, as Tasha said, supporting 90 Native American, Indigenous, LGBTQIA artists, musicians, every Wednesday in the Wisdom Circle, and the third Saturday, where we are at the moment, of each month in the concert series. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all our individual donors that has kept us going for the year. Also to our sponsors, the Native American Advise Fund, the Community Foundation, also Westaff and New Mexico Arts, who have also supported us on this journey, which makes not only all these virtual events free, but also all of them have ASL interpreters to make access available for all. So thank you so much for all of that. Also, as you know, Tash just came back from the Navajo Nation to do the show, her and the beautiful Demetria from Meow Wolf, that have been very instrumental in this last run, the Deaf and Hard of Hearing relief run, where they just came back from Shiprock. So those are some pics from today. So thank you for that. Obviously, this has been possible because of all of you. And as Pete was saying, just even the action that he and it takes a community to raise a village, and all the generosity from all of you. So thank you for allowing us to be of service and make those runs happening. We would not be able to do that without you. So there's the donation page if you want to do that. And then lastly, on the 8th and 9th of May, we do have a free Indigenous Healing Festival from 11 to 5, so 6 hours Saturday, 6 hours, or 5.5 hours on Sunday. That is just keeping the community together. Our theme for this year is survivance. It's all online. You know, we were talking about the registration starting Friday. It's actually been pushed to this Monday. So you can go to our website, IndigenousWays.org, look for the Indigenous Healing Festival and register. Our featured artists are not only Buffy St. Marie and the beautiful Keith Sokola, but many wonderful, incredible artists and presenters from northern New Mexico, who will be in with us. So we're really jazzed and thrilled about that, and we're collaborating with the Tewa Women United, the Santa Fe Indian School, and the Institute of American Indian Arts. So these great Native educational institutions and organizations that will be behind the scenes with all this wonderful medicine. And so with that, let's give it up for our wonderful interpreters. That's the beautiful Martin, who's above us or below us, wherever you're looking at. Also, Chris Esiando, who was also here, making access available for all. But all of you beaming in. But most importantly, let's please give it up for the beautiful Pete Sands.
Woo, Pete. Keep jamming, Pete.
Let's give it up for Pete. Thanks, everyone. We'll look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Stay safe, be well, and we are sending oodles and oodles of love.
Mucho love.
Muchos, muchos.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Be well.